What up, world? Welcome to another episode of the BrandonJaneauShow. As you know, I am Brandon Janeau, like always on all podcast platforms everywhere. Brandon Janeau Show, social media platforms, Instagram, Threads, Brandon Janeau, Facebook, The Brandon Janeau Show, and of course, TikTok, Brandon Janeau Show. Go follow me on all of those platforms. I hope you guys enjoy those platforms that I'm on. I gotta get back to it on Instagram. I'm not very lazy, especially on Facebook. Very lazy on both of those. But TikTok, I kind of do my shorts. I put a lot of shorts on TikTok because it's way easier. Um, so go follow me on all of those social media platforms. Where you really can find me though. Where you really can find me though. Uh, so yeah, YouTube channel, Brand New Show. Um, that's where you can find me. Go subscribe. Go uh, comment. I do comment back. Uh, I'm trying to post more shorts and more vids, more shorts on there. So yeah. Um, so yeah, follow me on YouTube channel, Brand New Show. Hope you guys enjoy the new content. Let's get it, man. Let's talk, man. I say this. It's Tuesday, so you already know what time it is. I believe sports. Well, today is Wednesday. The reason why I didn't do the episode last night is because, well, there's the NBA play-in right now going on. Last night it was the Magic, the Hawks, Warriors, Grizzlies. Warriors and Grizzlies. Excuse me. Warriors and Grizzlies were fucking incredible. And the NBA playoffs kick off this weekend tonight. It is the 9-10 matchups in the NBA play-in. The Mavs and the Kings play later on tonight. I talk about that game. I talk about the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls playing at 6:30 here in Houston. 7:30 of your Eastern. What is it? 4:30 Western, I think. So yeah. Um, so I'll talk about those games. The play-in. I'll talk about the NBA playoffs. It's coming up this weekend. The first round matchups. I talk about those first round matchups, who I think will win in those first round matchups. Um, and of course, you got the NFL going on still too. With everything going on in the NFL draft is literally next week, which is freaking nuts. Next Thursday is the NFL draft, which sounds absolutely freaking crazy. I will be doing another one. Who would you rather? Who's better? Who's gonna have a better career? I guess. Adore Carter or Mason Graham. Those two top tier defensive players. I'll be talking about which one I would actually take and who I think is going to actually have a better career moving forward. And of course, uh, sign and draft. It's my team, my New Orleans Saints. Um, I will talk about this, and I'm actually thinking about doing one next week before the draft. Bringing back the Bleed Black and Gold podcast just for next week to talk about the Saints and all their fucking issues because I don't feel like doing it tonight. So I'll talk about all that tomorrow. I will talk about Derek Carr a little bit, but not all of it, and get into that next week. But that's next week and tonight. But before I get into all that, I gotta start it here. So Rory McIlroy. If you watch golf, you know who he is. If you don't watch golf, I understand. And I don't talk golf on here a lot because I don't watch golf as much as I wish I should. But it just takes too long. Roy McIlroy has officially become a Grand Slam champion. Congratulations. He won the green jacket finally. Finally, he won the green jacket this past week at the Masters. Congratulations. Um, you've earned it, man. Congratulations. But I remember when Roy McIlroy was supposed to be the next Tiger Woods. That did not happen. And I remember when he first won his first trophy, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, is he the new Tiger?" They put so much on this kid to be greater than what he is, and he isn't. He isn't. He isn't as great as everybody thought he would be. It took him a while. I would easily say it took him a very long time to get to where he's at today as a golfer. But he finally won, and he's finally a Grand Slam champion. What I wanted to say was this: yeah, he won. Congratulations. But what in what world do we now sit here and say to ourselves? What world do we now sit here and say to ourselves that now looking at it, hindsight, it feels like everybody's been trying to get this Tiger Woods guy in golf, especially in golf. Everybody that comes into to golf, it feels same thing with basketball, right? Everybody wants to know who's the next Michael, who's the next Michael Jordan. If you're in football, when somebody shines, who's the next Tom Brady? And it feels like that was with golf. And Roy McIlroy fell victim to that shit. He fell victim to he's got to be the Woods. He's going to be the next Tiger Woods, and he just never lived up to that. And I think it took a minute. It is a decade. And now he has it. Does that now make him now some golfers that I kind of grew up watching? Phil Nicholson and of course Tiger, and is he in that same vicinity when it comes to golf? No, I don't think he's in the same vicinity. I think with what he is, he's good, but he's had years where he just didn't win shit. And now again, it might have been some personal shit going on in his life at that time when he didn't win a lot of these trophies. But when you were supposed to be the guy, he never lived up to it. I don't know how old Roy McIlroy was when he first started. He was like in his 20s. That was what 20 shit. That was what goddamn. It feels like a decade ago, like almost like 15. No, I want to say 2009. Tiger was still killing shit at 2009. Yeah, his scandal didn't start till like 2000, 2010, 2011. Roy like started what 2012, 2013. So yeah, about a decade. So he about like 20. He was in his early 20s, mid 20s. He looks like he's aged a good bit. He looks like he's aged a good bit. I'm not trying to diss the man, but he looks like he's aged a good bit. And I think that's the thing. I think Roy McIlroy, as good as a golfer he has been for what he's accomplished, he just never lived up to what he was supposed to be. So yes, congratulations for winning the Masters, but at the same time, bro, we've been looking forward to seeing you win a Masters for like since 2014, 15, and you never lived up to it. That's a problem. It's a massive, massive, massive problem. And you didn't. And congratulations. Like I said, it's been damn near a decade, but you finally got it done. So congratulations. Um, Basketball. WNBA women's draft just happened this past week. Paige Beckers went number one, like fucking obviously. Paige Beckers went number one. Uh, Holly Van Lathan went to the Chicago Sky, I think at 11, if I'm not mistaken. 11. Paige Beckers has always been seen as somebody that could come in and change the franchise. Uh, she's always had that, but like I've always said, she just got dealt a really bullshit hand a lot of times, especially when she was in UConn early in her career. She just never could get she could never just get over the injury bug. She's had chances to be national champion, but she just never got a chance to do it because she always was injured or somebody was hurt. Somebody was hurt on her team. And it took her a long time to kind of get to the title, to the title in college basketball, which kind of created the South Carolina dynasty. You had, of course, Iowa pop out of nowhere and do their thing with Caitlin Clark for that little stretch of time. You had LSU women's, kind of get going. So for Paige Beckers to finally get the title and then get still drafted, shock. She's been in college for like 4 or 5 years. Like that shit is nuts. Like she's been in college for a very long time. You wouldn't even think about it. Like she's been in college for like she went to college like in like before the pandemic. Like man, like yeah, before the pandemic, she was in college. Like 2020, 2021. Like she's been in college for a good bit. So for her to be still the favorite to be the number one pick, that was shocking. I did not think that she would still be the number one pick in the WNBA draft. But that's a testament to how many people just knows when she's healthy and she's on, she's the best player on the planet. So especially when it comes to the women's game. So yeah. Um Holly Van Lathan teaming back up with Angel in Chicago. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I know in LSU, it just didn't match. She just didn't match what LSU at that time was looking for. I know she went to like team up, build something with them, but you got to realize when she went to LSU, they had just won a national championship. There was no reason for her to go there outside of just trying to get a stock up and trying to, But again, I think she was always better being the star, being the number one person. She was never great being a part of a I don't say she wasn't great being a part of a team because she was, but her being the number one distributor, her being the number one sport, her everything going through her. You saw it this season with TCU. She needed to be the number one person. And so her going fit a narrative, going fit the LSU women's basketball team at that time with Flo Johnner, Flo Johnson, and then you had Angel Reese, and then you had uh Morrow. Those girls didn't really need her. She was not supposed to go there and just fit in. She was supposed to be the dominant force. And what she did in TCU this year, she should have did that shit at LSU. But she was just trying to fit in, and it was like that was not what she was supposed to do. I don't know what she's gonna look like in Chicago. I have no clue. I don't know what the Chicago Sky is gonna look like with her this upcoming season. I have no clue. What I do know is that the Chicago Sky uh, like I've been saying, Chicago Sky has something. They got something. They have to just build it around uh Asia, Asia Reese, Asia Reese and Camilla. If they could build that shit and build it to the right ability, they can win. They can win. They like I've been said, as good as much as people want to shit on Asia Reese and all of them, she has the ability to understand what basketball is. She understands what she is. And no matter how many times people shit on her and talk down on her, she's got a championship and Kayla Clark doesn't. That's just facts. Like she's got a ring in college and Kayla Clark doesn't. And she's the reason for that. That's fucking facts. Now you can sit there and say Kayla Clark is changing the game all the fuck you want. You are 100% right. Nobody's telling you that you're not. But facts are, Aja Reese has a championship in college and Kayla Clark fucking doesn't. That's just facts. The Indiana Fever is probably going to be really great this year. I expect them to be. You know what the fucking problem would be? If Adrian Reese and fucking Chicago figure it out and go into the playoffs and actually win. That's a fucking massive problem. How can I say this? It's not like Magic and Bird. It's not. It's not. I can't. How can I say this? It's like shit. Trying to think of a basketball comparison for these two women. Um, Fuck. The closest thing I can give you is Kobe and AI. Kobe and AI. They were drafted in the same draft. Uh, AI was perceived as the more impactful player at the time. Kobe was always perceived as the next Michael Jordan, but could he really handle being the next Michael Jordan? He was a rookie. He was a teenager coming into a man's league at that time. But with the right build, the Lakers won a championship, tons of championships. But Kobe kind of feels the same way with this. And I know people are gonna sit there and say, "Well, Brandon, you are delusional. You think Aja Reese is Kobe?" No, I'm speaking on a comparison of them two. AI was seen as a game-changing player. He was the number one pick in that fucking draft. And Kobe was seen as a great player, but he wasn't seen as he needs the right people around him to mold him into the guy he needs to be to win championships. That's kind of how I look at Aja Reese. She's kind of the same. She needs the right team around her for her talent and her stardom to shine on that team. Whereas for Caitlin Clark, she can fit anywhere at this moment. She can score, she can do everything. But does that win you a fucking championship? And that's where the fuck the problems lies. Because AI, as great as AI was, he can score the fuck out of a basketball. But when it came to the team itself, he could not win. You know why? Because all you relied on was him. Same thing with Caitlin Clark. All you relying on is her. And you expect her to just take you to the promised land. That's why AI only played in one NBA Finals. That's why AI's only played in one NBA Finals, and Kobe has multiple rings. Teams fucking matter. And Indiana Fever is starting to build something, but don't get it twisted. Chicago Sky got something in Chicago with Aja Reese and now Haley Van Lathan. Like that's a team that you can see, and hopefully Haley has learned her lesson from playing with Aja Reese earlier in her career in college. That I don't need you to step back and tell me go ahead and do your thing, and I'm gonna just figure it out. No, you need to be just as aggressive as I am, and that will work. Which brings me to the NBA. Which brings me to the NBA. Like I said, the play-in happened last night. It started last night. Orlando beat the hell out of the Atlanta Hawks. Once Trae Young got ejected, Orlando just rolled them. Orlando feels like a team that if health didn't kick them in the ass, Orlando will be way, way, way more. Orlando will be where Orlando will be the Pistons this year. I truly believe that. Orlando will be the Pistons. If Pablo Banchero didn't get hurt midway through the season, when they were starting to kind of get their rhythm, Pablo didn't get hurt. You had Jalen Suggs get hurt. You had a lot of people get injured. If the Orlando Magic didn't get hurt, they would be the Detroit Pistons. They would be the Detroit Pistons. They would be the fifth seed in the Eastern Conference right now. They would be the fifth seed in the Eastern Conference. What they did last year compared to this year because of the injuries, they would be the fifth best team in the Eastern Conference right now. I truly believe that. If they did not get hurt, if Paolo didn't get hurt half the way through the season, and you didn't lose so many people halfway through the season, the Magic would be the fucking Detroit Pistons. They'd be Detroit Pistons. They'd be the 15 right now. They'd be playing the Milwaukee. They'd be playing the New York Knicks. Wait, yeah, New York Knicks, which is fucking wild to me that the New York Knicks literally fell to the fucking fourth seed. Like, bro, oh, good God Almighty. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the Orlando Magic beat the living hell out of the Atlanta Hawks last night. Now tonight they play. Tonight is the 9-10 game. Heat Bulls winner moves on to play the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta like Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and yeah, and the loser close is just eliminated. Who do I think is going to win this game tonight between the Bulls and the Heat? I think Chicago. I think Chicago. I think the one thing about Miami is this is the playoffs and this is playoff time. And what you needed was what happened last night with Jimmy Butler. You don't have that guy. You don't have that take charge guy anymore. We're gonna see this. When you lost, then listen, you got in the play-in and great because the Eastern Conference is what the Eastern Conference is. This is why I also said that I can easily see the Cleveland Cavaliers run off 20 something straight games and not even look back and be like, damn, they won 20 straight games. Yes, because the fucking East has most of the bad teams. Washington, Toronto, who else? Shit. There's a bunch of fucking teams. That's just two off the damn head. Charlotte. You got some bad teams in the fucking East, bro. Now I'm not gonna sit here and act like the West is any fucking better. But when it comes to the East, that's some bad fucking teams. That's usually the same fucking teams in the play-in every fucking year. The Heat, the Bulls, the Hawks, Magic. Usually the same fucking teams. Maybe Toronto. Maybe Toronto makes it. But it's usually the same fucking teams in the play-in every damn year in the East. Not surprised. I got the Bulls. I think the Bulls winning tonight. I think they're more consistent. I think that Even though I love Eric Spoelstra, I think Eric Spoelstra is one of the great head coaches. I just think he's getting dealt a really shitty hand. Um, I don't know if the Heat is ready to take that step without Jimmy Butler. That's the thing. You couldn't win last year without him in the playoffs. So if you beat Chicago tonight, you go to Atlanta. Trae Young, who by the way whooped your ass last year by himself in the play-in. This is going to be a harder game. I think this is going to be a very hard game. I think the Bulls take it. Um, I like Kobe White. I like Vucevic. Patrick Williams. Just the makeup of the Bulls feel more like they can just take the lead. And once they take the lead, I don't think Miami's catching them. And that's the thing. Andrew Wiggins and Bam and Tyler, great, but this shit feels like a problematic situation for the Miami Heat. It does. So I think it's gonna be the Bulls and the Hawks. And once you get to the Bulls and the Hawks Friday, shit. Mm, I like the Bulls, man. I love Trae Young. I love Atlanta. I think Atlanta young core is great. Reza Shea, who was the number one pick in the draft this year. Trae Young, of course. Jalen Johnson. Um, Dyson Daniels was one of the best fucking defensive players in the league. Um, I like Atlanta. I think Atlanta's really good. The problem with Atlanta is they're too young. They're too young. I think that having the Bulls, having Vucevic be in the playoffs a couple times, and certain players being in these types of situations before, because you got to remember, it was only a couple years ago when the Bulls were like the fifth, sixth seed in the playoffs. It ain't been that long, so like I can see the Bulls. I can see the Bulls, going into Atlanta and beating the Atlanta Hawks. Now, here's the thing: the Bulls do not have a Trae Young, and at any moment, Trae Young could just go off for 40. And when that happens, anything could happen. But if you ask me right now, I think the Bulls defensively with Billy Donovan and the team they have, I think they could beat the Atlanta Hawks. And they will end up as the 8 seed to play the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I think would be a fucking intriguing ass series. I think that would be one of the most incredible series that we're going to get in the first round of the playoffs. Um, Speaking of the Eastern Conference, before I go into the Western Conference, Boston's playing Orlando because Orlando won last night, so they won the 7th seed, which means they're playing the Boston Celtics. Uh, you got the Pacers versus the Bucks. The Pacers are the 3, the Bucks are the 6. Last year, it was the Bucks that was the 3 and the Pacers that was the 6. So yeah, that sounds fucking nuts that that's the way it is, but that's exactly what it was. And then you have the Knicks versus the Pacers. Knicks versus the Pistons. I'm sorry, 4 or 5. Like I said, I think the Bulls are going to get into the play-in. Depending on what happens tonight, I think they beat the Heat, and then they beat the Atlanta Hawks. Uh, but off of the series that we now know, Celtics Magic, Celtics Magic, Pacers Bucks, Knicks Pistons. The most intriguing matchup of this whole postseason when it comes to the Eastern Conference in the first round, to me, is the Celtics Magic. That's an intriguing series. I think that's a very intriguing series. That's my most intriguing series in the first round when it comes to the Eastern Conference. That is my most intriguing series. Because I feel like it's like I said a couple weeks ago about the Boston Celtics. I feel like the Boston Celtics, as good as the Boston Celtics are, they kind of the one thing about the Boston Celtics is length on a perimeter, which the Orlando Magic have, the ability to space them defensively, which the Orlando Magic have. I just feel like the Orlando Magic can definitely, and I mean definitely, give the Boston Celtics a problem. I think Orlando could give Boston a problem. I think they can. I think Boston. I don't think Boston's gonna take them like lightly. Fuck no. I think Boston's gonna play their ass hard. But I think the Orlando Magic, because of how young they are, and it goes back to last year with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Orlando had Cleveland a couple times in that series. Like they could have beaten Cleveland a couple times. They just were too young and too inexperienced. I think the Magic being unhealthy is going to hurt them and is going to be a detriment to their team. I would not be surprised though if the series goes seven. I would not be surprised. I think a lot of people would probably sit there and think I'm crazy for saying 7 games. The Magic and the fucking. I think the Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers could go 7 fucking games. I think because they're division rivals. They played each other a bunch of times. They played each other 4 fucking times. They know each other. If the Bulls get in and they are the 8th seed, I think they can give the fucking Cleveland Cavaliers a goddamn headache because the Cleveland Cavaliers know how good the Bulls are. But at the same damn time, I think they might go seven. The series that I'm more so like it should be good, but let's see. The series that I'm like it should be good, but let's see. Is the Pistons and the Knicks? It should be good. It should go seven. I don't think it will. Um, the one thing about the Pistons, the one thing about the Pistons for the last couple of the one thing about the Pistons for the last couple of you know the one thing about the Pistons for the last not the Pistons, the Knicks, the last couple of years have been Tom Thibodeau is a defensive minded head coach. That's always been his calling card. So for this season to be so whatever when it came to defensively with the Knicks is shocking. Here's the thing: you drafted a Carl Anthony Towns. I mean, drafted. Lord have mercy. You traded for a Carl Anthony Towns, who isn't really that great of a defender. He's more scorer than he is defender. So I'm not too surprised that he had the season that he had. Um, he can score. Nobody's ever told you Carl Anthony Towns couldn't fucking score. He's a 20 and 25 and 10 easy. 25 and 10 easy. But that's always been my problem with Carl Anthony Towns because when he gets in the playoffs, he kind of gets frustrated because he can't stop certain people because he's not physically able to. And that kind of is what the goddamn problem is. I kind of feel like that's the goddamn problem with the New York Knicks. I don't have a problem with Jalen Brunson. I know Jalen Brunson gonna play his ass off. I expect Josh Hart to do his thing. Carl Anthony Towns is gonna do what he needs to do. But this is Cade Cunningham's first time in the playoffs. I expect nothing but performances after performances after performances. The one thing about Jalen Brunson is he's very small. He's very small. You can kind of get him in a paint, get him in a post, and go at him. Detroit is fucking athletic as fuck and they're tall as shit. That's a fucking problem for the New York Knicks. All fucking ready. You cannot stop them physically. And then on top of that, you don't have the height to stop them. That's a problem. I expect this series to go six. And that's being generous to the Knicks. That's being extremely fucking generous to the Knicks. I expect this series to go six. To be honest with you, if it goes five and the Detroit Pistons beats them at five, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't. Yeah, Detroit Pistons beats them at five. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It makes sense. Um, the other series, Pacers Bucks. No Dame. That's a massive problem for the Bucks. That's a massive problem for the Bucks. We have now seen for 2 straight seasons now in the playoffs, for 2 consecutive seasons now in the playoffs, Dame and Giannis have not been on a court together to even be in the playoffs together. That is crazy. For Dame and Giannis to not even be on a court together in the playoffs is a problem. This is the second straight year now where Dame and Giannis have not been on the court together in a playoff series. This is the prime. This is why you got Dame to go out there and put up 30 points with Giannis puts up triple doubles. You needed that. Now again, Dame is dealing with health, so you can't get mad at that because he's dealing with health. But when you are looking at this team right now, if you are Milwaukee, the Pacers, if I'm the Pacers and I'm looking at it from the Pacers' point of view, who's guarding fucking Tyrese Halliburton? If the Pacers don't get too much out their heads, which last year they played the Bucks the best way they could have. They beat the Bucks the exact way they should have. The fact that also Pascal Siakam has played Giannis a couple times in the playoffs and he has gotten the best of Giannis in the playoffs, that's a problem. That's a massive fucking problem. I expect the Pacers to win this series in 5. I expect the Pacers to win this series in 5. I don't know how the Bucks survive against a defensively sound Pacers team with an actual scorer like Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know how to pay. I don't know how the Bucks survive. Sorry, sorry. Yeah, I don't know how the Bucks survive. I have no idea how the Bucks survive. Uh, yeah, I have no idea how the Bucks survive. I have no clue how the Bucks survive um, in that series. None. I, without Dame, that's a problem. It's going to be a massive problem. You got to realize, like, they didn't have Giannis and Dame last year, kind of in the playoffs together, and now you don't have them again. It's a fucking problem. That's what you bought Dame in for, to be in the playoffs, and he's not there. He's not there. I got the Pacers at 5. I got the Pacers at 5. Um, and like I said, if the Cavs and the Bucks play, and the Cavs and the Bulls play, it can go 7. It can go 7. I think the Cavs win it way earlier than that, but if it does go 7, I wouldn't be surprised. Western Conference. Last night, Steph Curry, Steph Curry, um, and Jimmy Butler did. Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler play all shit. They went out there and played their ass off. What they usually fucking do. Not fucking surprised. Um, Steph, I think what had like 36. Jimmy had like 37. That's fucking ridiculous. That's crazy. This is the one thing about Jimmy Butler that he's been looking for. He's been looking for somebody to come in and do what Steph Curry can do, and that's shoot the fuck out the basketball. One thing I will say is this: Draymond Green has been doing this shit for too long for you to still fall out in a fucking play-in game. You cannot still be this fucking stupid. You can't. That is ridiculous that you still have moments where you just fucking lose your fucking emotions. You falling out of a fucking playing game, bro. That is stupid. I don't understand it, bro. You can't do that shit no more. You gotta stop doing it. And I get people that sit there, well, that's Draymond Green. That's always who he's used. That's always who he is. That's who he is. That's what made everybody love him. That would be the truth, and that would work If Draymond Green wasn't also a fuck up, you had six. You fouled out in a fucking playing game when your team was still in a struggle with the Memphis Grizzlies. What the fuck are you doing? Like it just, oh my god, that shit pissed me off. As a Warriors fan who's watched his team grow this team out, he still does shit like, bro, you got people that's gonna bail you the fuck out. What you do? What you do? But it's just it's fucking ridiculous. Like stop doing that shit, bro. That's ridiculous, bro. Stop doing that shit. That pissed me off last night. Oh my god, that pissed me off last night. I'm like, this motherfucker is an idiot. What the fuck are you doing? Like, oh my god, that pissed me off. That pissed me off. That shit pissed me off. But Golden State won. Golden State is now playing against the Houston Rockets. That's gonna be a series. I am looking so fucking forward to that series. That's gonna be a series. That shit is gonna be interesting. Old guard versus new guard. That's gonna be fucking interesting. I cannot wait to see that fucking series. That's gonna be a good one. Which leads to the Memphis Grizzlies now falling to the 8, which they already was, but they will be playing against the winner of tonight's game between the Kings and the Mavs. And then, of course, everybody's already up in arms about, you know, the general manager, Nico Harris, did his press before the play-in tonight between the yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He did his press conference talking about, of course, what else? The Luka trade. Listen, man, I still think the trade was better than what people think for the Mavs. I get it because it's Luka. It's a name. People lost their fucking minds. I get it. It's Luka. Like I said, it's a name. You know Luka. You know who he is. He's one of those players that you know who he is. You don't have to say too much. Hey man, you know who Luka Doncic is? Oh yeah, the dude to play basketball. That's the reason for why so many people are up in fucking arms. But I still think that was a better trade for Dallas than the Lakers. Now I get it. The Lakers look like they're gonna be this unstoppable force, and I'll talk about them in a second. But the one problem with the Lakers that I feel, the one thing that I'm gonna say this, the one thing about the Mavs that I do believe that this year you're not gonna see because Kyrie got hurt. Anthony Davis can. Anthony Davis is not gonna carry a team by himself. That just isn't gonna fucking happen. We know Anthony Davis now. We know what he's capable of. We know he can do. He's not a carry the team by himself fucking player. He's not. He needs fucking help. You're not gonna see it. I would not be surprised if the Kings beat the fucking Mavs tonight. I would not be surprised. And then people are gonna lose their shit and say, "See, this is why you keep Luka." For fucking what? He was gonna lose too. What the fuck are you talking about? I think that the Kings can definitely beat the Mavs tonight. I would not be surprised. Keegan Murray, Zabonis, um, you got Zach Levine, DeMar DeRozan, some veterans on that Kings team that's been in the playoff situations, but more importantly, has been in the play-in situation. They can definitely give the Mavs a problem, and I would not be surprised by it. I would not. If the Mavs win this game, they still have another game to go. They got to play Memphis. But I think people, again, like I said, the long haul, I think the Mavs won this trade. I know people are going to sit there and think I'm fucking crazy. Long haul, I think the Mavs won the trade. In the moment, yeah, the Lakers look amazing. The Lakers look like a team that's gonna dominate and they're gonna do all this shit. Great. Whoop de fucking do. I'm so happy for you. But when the Lakers get into those moments, those games, those situations where they need Luka to probably step up defensively too, and he doesn't do it, what do you do then? Right now, the Mavs look like it was a stupid trade. I get it. But like I said, I don't look at it from the moment perspective. I look at it from a long term perspective. In Nico Harris was 100% right to trade Luka Doncic. Like I said, I get it because Luka is a name. So again, in this world we live in, if you got name value, people think that is all that matters, especially in sports. But Luka could score 30, 40 fucking points in the playoffs. We already know that. He can have a triple double in the playoffs. We know that already. Name me one time where he's made a defensive stop in the playoffs. Don't worry, I'll wait. Name me one time where Luka Doncic has actually showed you that he's a top tier defender in the playoffs. Yeah, you could score 40. Say Gilgis could score 50. Now what? And he shut you the fuck down for 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. Now what? Now what? What the fuck do we get? I don't know who wins tonight. I'll be honest. I don't know who wins tonight. It's going to be an intriguing game. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be interesting. Who goes against the Mavs again? I don't know. If it's the Mavericks versus the Grizzlies, I think the Mavs get the AC. If it's the Kings versus the Grizzlies, I think the Grizzlies get the AC. Depends on John Morant. John Morant sprained his ankle last night. He got fucked up in that game a little bit. I think the Grizzlies showed a little bit of fight, a little bit of determination in that game. They play in. Thought that was really good. So yeah, we shall see. But the Western Conference, like I said, the Warriors are playing the Rockets. That is the 2-7 matchup. The Lakers are playing against the Wolves. And the Nuggets are playing against the Clippers. I think it's the 4-5 matchup, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Um, I expect there to be a lot more 7-game series in the first round for the Western Conference than the Eastern. Um, I think the Rockets and the Warriors go 7, depending on if Draymond and Jimmy and Steph can stay healthy. That's really the key for the Warriors. If one of them get hurt, good fucking luck. I think the Rockets advance though. I think the Rockets will beat the Warriors. Yeah, I think even in veteran appearance, but I just think Ime Udoka is just a really great fucking head coach. Not saying Steve Kerr isn't. I just think Ime Udoka has instilled that young energy into those dudes. Nobody can stop you. Go out there and whoop their ass. I think that is the way he coaches. I think it goes 7 here in Houston, and I think the Rockets pull it off at 7. Lakers, Timberwolves. I told you I'll talk about it in a minute. Here it is. The Lakers are going to beat the shit out of the Timberwolves. They're going to beat the shit out of the Timberwolves. I love you. I love Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is one of the best players in the league. He got no help. He has no help, especially in the fucking playoffs. Name me the last time Julius Randle was relevant in the playoffs. Name me the one time where Rudy Gobert actually defensively was actually the defensive player of the year. You can't fucking do it because it doesn't fucking exist. That's the fucking problem. I expect the Lakers, Rudy Gobert, in the playoffs, it's offensive to call this man a 4-time, 5-time defensive player of the year. It's offensive. It's damn near offensive. That you give this motherfucker the defensive player of the year trophy for a regular season, and then the playoffs come and he's a fucking non-existent factor in the playoffs. That's fucking ridiculous. This man's been in the playoffs. What is this? Like his 8th time now being in the fucking playoffs from Utah to now Minnesota. This motherfucker has done nothing in the playoffs. Nothing. He's a liability on offense. He can't fucking score. And then on defense, they just kill him every fucking year in a pick and fucking roll. Nothing more, nothing less. He cannot deal with the pick and roll. Now, the one thing about the Lakers, they're not big, but that's fucking even more of a fucking problem because they're athletic. They're going to fucking kill this dude in this pick and roll. He is the reason why Jalen Brunson has a contract right now. You do realize that, right? Rudy Gobert is the fucking reason why Jalen Brunson is got a contract right now in New York because of how bad he torched this nigga in the playoffs. He fucking torched this nigga. Every fucking game, he damn near had like 30 fucking points. It was just like, what the fuck, bro? You got a bench player kill you? He is the reason for why Jalen Brunson has a fucking contract right now. Rudy Gobert sucks in the playoffs. It's like you're playing 5-on-4. It's ridiculous. It's fucking bad, man. It's fucking putrid. It's fucking terrible. Like Rudy Gobert is a fucking waste of a player in the playoffs. Like you shouldn't even be. That is why I've said if I was the Minnesota Timberwolves, I would have traded Karl Anthony Towns and I would have traded Rudy fucking Gobert. Why are you keeping him? There is no reason to keep this fucking dude, especially in this fucking time period, because you know he ain't gonna fucking show up. Why? They gonna pick and roll this nigga to death, and he gonna get killed every fucking time. He can't. It's gonna be bad, man. It's gonna be bad. And LeBron gonna do it. LeBron gonna get. LeBron's going. Luka and LeBron are gonna figure out a way to put him in no-win situations, and it's nothing the fucking Minnesota Timberwolves can fucking physically do about it. Except for you just put Anthony Edwards out there, and every time they do pick and rolls, Anthony Edwards just jumps on the person that's doing the pick and roll. But that's it. Like I don't see how this is gonna end well for the fucking Minnesota Timberwolves. I think Minnesota loses. I think Anthony Edwards could get you a game. I think he gets you a game. I think in Minnesota he gets you a game. But it's gonna be a gentleman's sweep. I got the Lakers at 5. I don't want to sound like you Shannon Sharp, but I got the Lakers at 5, bro. I got the Lakers at 5. Because I just cannot see Rudy Gobert doing anything in the playoffs. He just I've seen him enough in my life when he's been in the playoffs, and he fucking sucks. I've seen it. I've fucking seen it. I know he can't fucking do anything. You're not about to now convince me that in his now 8th time in the playoffs, he's going to now magically become great in the playoffs. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here, dude. Clippers, Nuggets. That's an interesting fucking series. That's an interesting fucking series. Depends on what James and Kawhi Leonard we get. Do I think the Denver Nuggets could win the do I think the Denver Nuggets firing Mike Malone that fast and getting him out of the playoffs or whatever the case may be? But firing Mike Malone is very, very interesting. I don't know what Denver's going to look like in the playoffs without Mike Malone. You still have one of the best players in the league, and 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 in the Joker. That is 100% true. You still have one of the best players in the league in the Joker. 100% true. But if Kawhi defensively shows up, then that's going to be a pretty intriguing situation to see. If Kawhi shows up, he plays like Kawhi plays before he got all the injuries. We shall see how this team looks. I think it's go 7. I think it's going to be a 7-game series. I don't know who wins the 7. I'll be honest. I have no clue who wins the 7. I think it's gonna be in Denver, if I'm not mistaken. I think Denver could take it in 7. I think Denver takes it in 7. So that's two series already. I'm saying it's gonna end up in 7. And then you got the OKC and whoever wins the 8 could be the Grizzlies, could be the Kings, could be the Mavs. Who knows? I don't give a shit. I got OKC. I don't give a single solitary fuck. I got OKC. I think OKC wins their first round series. Doesn't matter who. They're gonna beat them. College. If I go to the NFL. College. Nico, the quarterback for Tennessee from last year. This is weird. It's very weird. Very, very, very weird what's going on right now. With that whole situation. Is he going to UCLA? Is he not? Is he going to, what is he going to do? My thing is this. I think the kid can play. The games he had last year, he was pretty okay in them. I would say he definitely controlled the game against Oklahoma. He definitely controlled that game against Oklahoma. He definitely had his moments in that Oklahoma game last year. Will a college take him, knowing all of the baggage that he's now coming with? Because that's the one thing. This ain't the NFL. This is college. And if you have to really bring in a kid that is bringing in baggage like that, you don't know. And I'm not sitting there saying he's a bad kid or anything like that. I don't know him. But when you sit there and say, I'm not going to practice for Tennessee and I'm kind of done with this team and I don't want to be here, and then and then the team puts out, yeah, we're done with this dude. We don't want him anymore. What the fuck? Are you serious? That's it? This man was one of the reasons for why your offense was so dynamic last year. You just fucking done with him? Damn. Okay, I guess. I, I guess. But we shall see. We shall see what this kid ends up in lands. I do not know. Maybe he goes to Ole Miss. Maybe he ends up in Los Angeles with the UCLA Bruins. Maybe he goes somewhere else. I don't fucking know. Who knows? NFL. Speaking of college, like I said, next Thursday is the NFL draft. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Adua Carter, Mason Graham, two guys that have game-changing defensive players. Adua Carter is considered the number one defensive player in this draft. I have him as the number one defensive player in the draft. Mason Graham is considered one of the best defensive tackles in this draft and considered probably the number one defensive tackle coming off the board in this draft. It just depends on where they fall. Adua Carter is considered he could go 1 to 5. If I don't think he falls that far, but he could. Mason Graham could go from 5 to 15. Just depends on who feels like they need him. Me personally, I had Adua Carter going to the Bears at 10. I had Mason Graham going to the Miami Dolphins. I think Miami had like the 13th pick. Can't remember. Yeah, Miami had like the 13th pick of that draft. Yeah, 13th. Um, yeah. So I had Adua Carter going 10. I had Mason Graham going 13 with me and my brother Juan did our mock draft show. What do I think of this situation? What do I think is going to happen with these two guys? I think Adua Carter is going to be great. I think he is. I think it depends on where he ends up because yes, even though he's very talented, what you don't want to do, what you don't want to do is have a Miles Garrett situation or a Miles Garrett situation where you draft this kid and then you have nothing else going for you. All he is just a really great defensive player, and you have nothing else going for you. The offense suck. The defense is always dependent on him. You don't want to fall into that situation. You fall into that situation, then you're just shit out of luck. So I think Adua Carter is gonna be great. It just depends on where the fuck he falls. Mason Graham, I think defensive tackle wise, why I chose him to go to Miami is because I think Miami needs the Christian Wilkins replacement. They haven't gotten it yet. Wherever he falls, if it's San Francisco, Dallas, Miami, Colts, that's why I say top 15. I think he falls in the top 15 because I think once you get past, you know, you know that range of the Patriots, Giants, Jags, he might even fall to the Raiders, which I don't think the Raiders need him because you got Christian Wilkins who you signed last year from Miami. Um, does he fall to the 7th with the Jets? You don't really need him. You got Quentin Williams still there. With the Jets. 8 is the Panthers. I can see him going to the Panthers. To team up with Derek Brown, I can see it. Um, the Saints pairing them up with Brian Brzee, I would not be opposed to that. I would not, as a Saints fan, I would not be opposed to that. I'll be like, hell yeah, let's do that. 10 Chicago, Montez Sweat, and what you do have on that defensive line, I can see Mason Graham falling into Chicago. I can see him in San Francisco. You definitely need fucking shit in San Francisco, especially defensively. Nick Bosa cannot be your only fucking person on that defensive line that you know and care about. Dallas, yeah, I can definitely see him fall to Dallas and maybe do what Mozzie Smith is supposed to be doing, but he does it. He actually does it. 12, who's 12? Fuck, who's 12? I forgot who's 12. They the Falcons? Nah, the Falcons are 15. I know I'm not tripping. Falcons like 15, 16. But once you start getting to these points, it's the same thing like I said with last year about Austin, last week about Austin Gentry. Once you start to get to these points in the draft, the conversation starts to become like, okay, what do you do? And the one thing about the Mason Graham pickup, if you sign Mason Graham, draft Mason Graham, I should say, is that he immediately fixed something that you need because defensive tackle is starting to go up again. Reason why I say defensive tackle is going up again because running backs are starting to go up again. You need that run stopper. You need that guy that can take on 2 blocks and shut it the fuck down in the middle, and that is Mason Graham. Look at him in Michigan for those last 4 years. Those all his 4 years in Michigan, he has been that guy in the middle of that defense, winning the national championship, becoming really a really, really, really good team. He is one of those reasons. So I would not be surprised if Mason Graham ends up in a really good situation. A dual Carter, it just depends on where he falls. Wherever he goes, he will immediately change the defense. But like I said, you don't want to fall to a team that has nothing built. Yeah, you might get 10 sacks your rookie year, but you're also 13 and fucking 3. And no, you're 3 and 13, I should say. Or 3 and 14 now. Who gives a fuck? Like you like yeah, you are defensive player of the year. Rookie defensive player of the year. Who gives a fuck? Like, and that's the thing. So who do I think would be who's gonna have a better career? Shit. I don't know. That's the first time I've ever gonna say that. I don't know. I don't know who has a better career. My mind is saying Adore Carter, heart saying Mason Graham. I just think depends on where they fall. But yeah, yeah. Sign and trade. I mean sign and draft. It's my Saints. Like I said, I'll be back next week to really talk about the Saints. Maybe the day before, probably like today. Probably do a Saints show. Talk about what I think they should do with the draft and the off-season moves that they have made. Kellen Moore, Derek Carr, what they should do with the draft moving forward. All of that. What the Saints did in signing. I mean, listen, we were literally over the cap like a son of a bitch. The fact that we got under the cap like we have is tremendous. I don't know how we do this every fucking year, but we do. Um, what the Saints should have did in free agency is what they did in free agency. Kind of sign the pieces they need to sign to keep them in the building. Chase Young, re-upping him. You got some defensive. I think you got a cornerback or two. You kept a couple corners. This Saints team is what the Saints are. I don't really get too riled up about the Saints right now, especially this part of the season because it's like it's fucking off season. What you want me to do? Um, what the Saints should do with the draft? They pick ninth like next week. They pick ninth next week. What should the Saints do with their draft? Like I said, I'll talk about this next week with Derek Carr situation after we know a little bit more about Derek Carr situation. Like I've said, if it's not Cam Ward, I don't want a quarterback at 9. If it's not Cam Ward, I don't want a quarterback at 9. I know people think that's so crazy to sit there and say, why the fuck would you not take Shador? Because I don't think Shador's a good fucking prospect. That's why I don't want Shador. I don't think he's a good prospect. All you can tell me is that he's accurate and he's a pocket quarterback. That's it. That's all the fuck you got. That's it. He's just accurate. He's a pocket quarterback. But I just saw Jalen Hurts, who's more than just that, win a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is considered one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it because he can evade pressure. Now, people sit there and say, man, Shador could do that. You played in a defensive list Pac 12 in a defensive list Big 12. How many rushing yards did Shador have in those two conferences? When you are playing against top level competition, sitting in a fucking pocket trying to make decisions ain't gonna cut it. Some of the times you throw the ball, sometimes he throws the ball and he tries to make a bigger play. That's not gonna fucking work in the NFL, bro. You saw that last year with Caleb Williams. Like I said, the only thing you can give me is that he's he's a pocket quarterback and he's accurate. I'm so happy that he's accurate and he's a pocket fucking quarterback. Yep, he can throw the ball 74%. Great. That's awesome. What the fuck does that do when you have no offensive line and your receivers are hurt? And Alvin Kamara is the only weapon you have on offense. What does that mean? The Saints at 9. If Cam Ward's not there, do what the fuck is right on the board. Do not force yourself into a reaction because you might not have Derek Carr this year. I don't care. This team was not going to be good this year, regardless. I've said this shit when the season ended last year. Bro, we're going to be the 4th team in the NFC South. We're not better than the Panthers. We're not better than the Falcons. And we're not better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. What are we doing? We don't have nothing better. And again, we fixed the cap. What the fuck did we bring in? What did we bring in? What's that game-changing player that we brought in to make us feel like, yeah, we got to who? I am a Saints fan, and I'm dead ass honest. I do not think you shouldn't go draft a quarterback if it's not Cam Ward at 9. If it's if Tyler Booker's there, if somehow some fucking way Will Campbell falls to 9, fix the offensive line. If you can, if he falls to 9, get Mason Graham. Like I said, if he falls to 9, get Mason Graham. There's no reason. If the kid from Arizona, Terry McMillan, falls to 9, get him. Why are we doing all this? Get him. Get him. You're overreacting to a situation. And again, I think Shador Sanders also needs to wait a year. He needs to sit a year. Anybody that's sitting there telling me he could play right the fuck now, you are fucking delusional. He cannot play right the fuck now. With that team, he will not fit. We don't have the proper people to be on that team. And you can sit there and listen to ESPN all day. Them motherfuckers are liars. Every fucking time I see them talk, it's just like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? I think Shador's gonna have a good career if he sits a fucking year. But if you tell me he plays right away, that team is going to fucking lose. He doesn't elevate anyone. He doesn't build anything. He doesn't help the team get better. So you're literally drafting a kid because he's a pocket quarterback and he's accurate. My nigga, you just drafted Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy he was the last pick in the fucking draft. You just drafted Brock Purdy. Congratulations. You drafted Brock Purdy with the ninth overall fucking pick because he's accurate and he's a pocket quarterback. That's the same shit y'all said about Brock Purdy. That is literally the same shit you said about Brock Purdy. That's it. That is it. I'll tell you guys next week. Like I said, NFL week is draft is next week. I'll be talking about the NFL draft a little bit more. Uh, get more into details. Who should go where, all that. Who's the best prospects? I do my top 10 best prospects list, and of course, NBA playoffs will be in full swing. Should be closing into the end of the first round. I'll talk about that. Boxing should be coming back in some point. Some fights are coming up soon. So yeah. So yeah. But that's next week. See you guys soon. It's Brian Janeau. Peace.